one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming out. Prior to tonight's meeting, we did have executive session to cover legal, such as Link, O'Neill. We also discussed some personnel issues. Have we always had public comment on agenda items?
Yeah. I don't know.
Never really
I
brought
sort of think
attention
that's dumb, but because we have public comment at the end.
Yeah. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from April 28th, the Board of Supervisors meeting, where Joe is not present?
I will make that. I will make that motion.
I will second that. The only change I would suggest is on page 3, the date at the top is incorrect. The content's fine.
Content's fine.
The date says February 24th. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from May 27th, Board of Supervisors meeting?
So moved.
I'll second that. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and then can I get a motion to approve C and D, the bills lists from June 10th and June 24th?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Confirmed appointment, none. Legal report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There are 3 zoning hearing appeals coming up this month, or shortly. First one is Appeal 2025-06 involving Mark Schmidt. Is Mr. Schmidt here by any chance? Yep. This particular application involves a rear yard setback variance for a porch. The rear yard setback is 40 feet in the zoning district. The applicant is seeking to reduce that to about 31 feet. Sort of a garden variety dimensional variance.
Any reason objection be there?
No, I don't. It looks.
No, I don't.
It looks like it's kind of.
I will, though.
It's only a few feet based off of what they already have, right?
I will, though, take the opportunity again to try to impress upon everyone who files for zoning relief that you would be well advised to get yourself land use counsel to help you with these applications. It's not so simple as saying, hey, this is a good thing, why don't you let me do it? There are legal standards to be met, and we are increasingly finding that folks are going off to these zoning hearings on their own. No, they don't know what their obligations are, and they're finding out that they can't get the relief that they thought was so obvious, or obviously needed. So there's my speech for the evening. The second application is involves Bunk Wampum Hill LLC. Is that applicant here by any chance? And I don't see counsel for that applicant here either. This issue is, this application seeks a variance for lot size, but the chairman was noting in the back room that we've seen this sort of scenario before, and I think, or we think, that there may not be a need for this variance after all. So if the board's all right with this, authorize me to contact the zoning officer, have a discussion with her about the provision identified specifically, I think it's zoning ordinance section 160-50B. That sound right, Mr. Palmer? Mm-hmm. And see if there really is a need for this hearing after all.
Okay.
Is that all right?
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Yes.
The third one is Mr. Mystery. Anyone here for that application? This is an application for a accessory residential, or excuse me, accessory agricultural use on 2.4 acres. This is basically for keeping poultry. There's a requirement that minimum lot size of 3 acres. This is, I am going to violate what I just said moments ago. This is a great example of there's wonderful material here explaining all the benefits and values of raising one's own chickens and so forth. And it all makes a lot of sense on a very personal level. It may not have any legal relevance at all. And again, the shame of it is if these folks come in and they rely upon this solely, they're probably not going to get what they want because they're not treating the legal requirements. They're just talking about how good the use is for everyone, but that's not the standard. So I don't see a particular need here for me to attend
Nor do I.
this hearing, so.
I agree.
Jim, I assume you,
Yes, I agree.
Jack, fighting for chickens?
All right, that's all I have in terms of zoning appeals, and I don't have anything else for the board.
Thank you. Okay, planning, Mr. Fulmer.
All right, thank you. We have the first item under planning is County Central Mini Storage Land Development Waiver. This project was before the Planning Commission at last Monday night's meeting. Essentially, it involves the property that was previously before this board a year or so ago for a mini warehouse use, which is now under construction on the property. However, there was a building, existing building on the property that was identified for a contracting or, a community or industrial craft use, G8, which is permitted by right, and that building was going to be used for that. Now, what the applicant would like to do now is they are determining that they like to remove that building and build another building a little bit bigger, but also now conforming to the setbacks. And one of the things that they're looking at is they want to put a restroom in there, which they need for the mini warehouse building. And to retrofit an old building to do that, it's a lot better to just put it in a new building. So, Mr. Smealand, I'm not going to do your job for you tonight, so you're going to have to come up here and talk. So we're asking for denial tonight. No. Anyway, just to finish my spiel, the Planning Commission did recommend waiver of land development subject to the compliance with my letter June 2nd, and I'm going to let Mr. Smealand do his job.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
Thanks. How you doing?
Thank you.
And I have it already.
Do you want this?
No, I have it already.
So Tim gave you a pretty good synopsis of what was happening, but in terms of the plan, you can see the orange building that will be installing. So it's a little narrower than the existing barn, but it's a little bit longer. And then you can also see another orange outline over the paved area, which we'll be adding, which adds about 1,800 square feet of impervious coverage. Our stormwater system was already designed to accommodate that. Obviously, this whole complex is under construction right now, and they're hoping to be opening, July is the hope. So we're getting close here, but again, because we do need a bathroom for the self-storage use, it didn't really make sense to put it in the barn. That didn't really make sense for a contractor type use. So the thought was, why go through the expense of the bathroom when we know that we would like a new building? So it seemed like an appropriate time to do it. So as soon as we're finished constructing the self-storage facility, we'll be moving on to building this building. I think it's 30 by 120. It'll have multiple garage bays. The G8 is like a contractor type use, like an electrician, plumber. I got made fun of for calling it like a clean and not a dirty contractor. You see, you wouldn't have like a concrete or paving or landscaper. It's more of like an electrician, refrigeration, cabinet maker. The thought is that they wouldn't necessarily have to have an office there, that it could more just be for the storage of their, whatever they need for their use. So it may not be exactly what you would think with a contractor shop where people would show up and be there. It may end up being a little bit of a storage type use, although it could also be an office type use. So we'll just kind of have to see, and it seems to make sense with that whole area with the storage facility. This will be outside of the fence of the self-storage facility, so it's a totally different use. It's not storage. It's definitely contractor related. And then, of course, this is a unique situation where we have the 3-unit apartment building in the front that will remain. We'll have parking that accommodates the use based on square footage. And it didn't really make sense for us to go for formal land development since we just came through the land development process. We thought the best way to handle this would be with a waiver of land development. Doesn't change virtually anything except the building itself and a little extra impervious coverage, a few permits that we have to go through with Conservation District. And Tim already has his comments. So we're asking for a waiver of land development on this one.
And just to remind the board that this does not waive building permits or anything of that nature. They still have to go get their permits for the new building, assuming that the township approves the waiver of land development. And if you are inclined to grant that tonight, I would certainly recommend that you would condition it upon the June 2nd letter in my office, and I don't think the applicant has any issue with that letter.
Nope, everything's a will comply.
Okay. Any questions, Jim?
You mentioned stormwater. You said that you designed it the first time. It will handle all of this. There's no issues.
Yeah, on a site like this, it's within the margin of error. So when we rerun the calcs,
It's there.
it's there.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Joe?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Looking for a motion to approve the waiver of land development, conditional upon the resolution of all items contained in Tim's letter dated June 2nd, 2025.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I will second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and we'll go on to the next item, Calvary Church extension request. So the Calvary Church is located on Route 113, west of here as you're going toward Bethlehem Pike. I'm sure you're all familiar with the complex there. It's a rather large facility. Back in 2005, the church received approval from the township to redevelop their property and obviously did a lot of improvements to the property. They had, at the time, phased the project, so there was an initial phase 1, which included a substantial addition to their existing church building. They also built a lot of parking and did a lot of road work along the frontage there, along 113. They also had an access put out to Bethlehem Pike, which is a signalized access. They did stormwater management. So anyway, they did a lot of that work in phase 1. That's all 100% complete. However, the next phase, if they were to go forward with that, would be to do some additional building work on the property and additional parking work. There's a letter in your packet from June 9th from the Calvary Church, which is requesting that the township consider extending a protection period that's contained in the municipality's planning code for additional 5 years. So just to explain what that means is that when a plan gets approved, there's a 5-year protection period built into the municipality's planning code, which protects the applicant for that 5-year window from any intervening changes you make to your ordinances. So basically, you get your approval, you got 5 years to implement it. If you don't, and it doesn't get extended, then effectively what could happen is the township could adopt a new ordinance, and then it would apply to that project. Doesn't mean the project isn't approved, it just means that they would have to resubmit the project showing compliance with any new ordinances. So since 2005, they had their initial 5-year window, and they had asked for subsequently, I think 3 now, extensions, and this is now the next extension they're asking for. The letter in the packet basically states that they don't have any imminent plans to start it, but they are looking at other options, but they want to preserve their rights of what they have approved from the township from 2005 in case they do want to proceed with that. So what they're looking for tonight is a motion from this board to grant them an additional 5-year protection under the intervening ordinance change provision of the MPC, just to leave their plan as it is right now.
Okay. Seems very straightforward. Does to me. Joe, any questions or comments?
I would think you'd want to make that to some sort of date certain. Is there a date certain?
Well, I would say it's from June. it's set to expire on June 27, 2025, so I would suggest it'd be 5 years, so we just add 5 years to that date, make the new date. One other thing I will point out is this does not protect them from intervening changes of the state stormwater management rules. So if they come back in say 3 or 4 years and they decide they're going to proceed and they have to get their environmental permits from DEP to do the work for earth disturbance, they may be required to upgrade their stormwater design to meet the current standards. So you're not giving them any of that protection that you can't. It's not yours to give them. So I just want to let you know that.
Tim, they already made road improvements. Did they do
Yes.
their water retention basins and everything?
Yes. Yeah, there was a lot of work done up front for phase one. It was mostly, I would say, almost all the site work, excepting that there's a lot of the second phase, or the next phase, if they were ever to go forward with that, is there are some additional parking fields that they would be building. There's a larger building addition that they would potentially add on to the church. There's also a separate building that was titled a proposed emergent ministries building and a storage building. And this is more closer to the Bethlehem Pike part of the site. That all doesn't exist today, but that would be part of their future plan if they were to go forward. So it's mainly some building addition, another building, and a lot of more parking if they were to go forward with the next step.
Gotcha. Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the extension of a protection period for an additional 5 years to be extended to June 27, 2030?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Moving ahead. Engineering 7A, Regency and Hilltown Land Development. So back in December of last year, this was on your agenda for consideration of an extension of the time frame the developer has to complete all the remaining improvements to do with the project. Effectively, a lot of the work is done. However, there's punch list items that need to be taken care of. Substantially landscaping related stuff. There's other things as well, of course, but there's a lot of landscaping work that has to be done yet. Our office is still in the process of completing a comprehensive landscape inspection. This spring was not kind as far as the weather, obviously, as you know. They originally did ask for a 12-month extension back in December. The board granted a 6-month extension with a reconsideration at this time. So you're up to the 6-month window now to reconsider. What I'm suggesting is, your alternative is you don't give them an extension and then we'd have to acquire the money through the bond and finish the work. Toll Brothers is basically going to finish it, at some point, so they are going to do that. So what I'm suggesting is we do give this 6 months to the end of the year, to December 31st, 2025, and hopefully the fall is a good time of year. We'll obviously do a lot of the tree work and get that done. They are telling me that they are close to getting their NPDES permit closed out, which is a big item, so that should be forthcoming as well. So anyway, at this point, there's, I guess at this stage would be an extension, consideration of an extension to December 31st, 2025 to allow Toll Brothers to fulfill its obligations under the development agreement.
And hope we have a good fall.
Yeah, and certainly, if you have any comments or sorry to do that, but if you, we have a representative of the board out here.
Oh, by all means. You want to have public comment? Sure.
Thanks very much. Yeah, I'm Ed Maceda, live at 1210 Webb Drive, and resident of Regency. I am one of the board members. As Tim mentioned, there's still work that needs to be done, so I think the extension is needed. All right, there's probably no way around it. I don't know, as far as your agreement goes, it sounds like it's all or nothing, basically, either do the work or in default. But we would like to ask of the board a request that a communication be sent to Toll Brothers to basically say, hey folks, this is it, all right? We got another 6 months, let's finish this work up. Hopefully we can get everything in by December. If there is some outstanding issues that needs to, extend it, then that can be taken into consideration. But any communication by the board to Toll to let them know, hey, you know what, let's finish this thing up. And by December. We certainly would appreciate it. Again, that call ultimately is yours, but, I know the community would like to see this wrapped up once and for all. It's been now, Tim, I think going back to 2023, so essentially they're going to have 3 years to complete the work that's
The other thing that, Ed, sorry to interrupt you, but the other thing is we will, and you're aware of this, I believe the board is aware of this, so there is still, even when they're finished, there's another 18-month maintenance period.
Yeah.
So that doesn't start until they're done. So that's another added timetable that we're gonna have to track eventually on that as well. But, if Ed's point is made here, we can certainly, if that's something the board wants to do, we can certainly put that in a letter that says, look, we're efforting, we want this done by the end of the year to expedite these things. And you can always reconsider it at the end of the year if they made substantial progress, and there might be a few items left open, and hopefully those things aren't something the community is as concerned with.
Right. Yeah, I mean, if there is something that kind of falls through the cracks, or there's a problem that comes up, then certainly we can be open to that. But we just want to try to put some kind of line in the sand here, so to speak.
Tim, it's mostly tree planting?
Yeah, I'd say a lot of it is at this point, because there's so many trees on the property. It's a huge number. It's probably in the thousands. I mean, it's just between shrubs and trees and all that. It's a lot. And we have landscaping arborists looking at it professionally to make sure we're getting a good handle on what needs to be done. And with the weather this spring, quite frankly, it was working through the raindrops, and between that and delays and that sort of thing, we're still trying to formulate that list. And now's not a good time to plant, as you probably all know, so fall would be a better time. We pray that would be the best time to do it. So.
And we're fine with that, makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I'm not defending Toll, but I have 300 trees that I have yet to get in the ground that were shipped in April, so I can relate.
Yeah.
Not the most fun. Okay, so I would imagine Toll will receive notification of our decision.
I will write a letter indicating what the board did here tonight, whatever that is, and I will send that to them this week.
With a little encouragement to move along.
Yeah, and I would suggest if you're going to do a motion, we'll just set it to a date of December 31st, 2025. That's
Sure.
easy.
Okay. Looking for a motion to approve a conditional extension of the time frame to complete the remaining improvements until December 31, 2025, subject to the requirements to develop a complete landscape and punch list during suitable weather, hopefully in fall of 2025.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I apologize. Any additional public comment? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No, that's okay. I appreciate the correction.
Okay, then the last item under engineering is the Hilltown Water and Sewer Authority well number 1 easement revision request. So this easement area is on the open space area that's part of what's known as the Pleasant Meadows subdivision. This was established many years ago. That contains existing water treatment facility owned by the authority. It's within an easement area in township-owned open space. In your packet tonight, there should be 2 different site plans. One is the current condition, showing the easement area and what's there now, which is a well building, a little bit of a driveway that comes in off of a paved path. And the second plan shows the addition of a new building, which is intended to provide additional treatment for water, which is mandated by the state, which is the authority's obligation to do. They are going to be going through land development waiver process for that at some point, and zoning reviews are ongoing. But what they looked at on that is they determined that because of the location of the building that needs to be there and the access to get into the building with their equipment, they would like to reconfigure the easement that's there now. So what they're looking to do is add about 50 feet to the, I call it the right-hand side of the plan that you're looking at. But then to compensate for that extra 50 feet on that side, they're also moving the back line of the easement closer to their facility, so they're trying to create a net zero difference in their area of the easement. So they're not easing any more of the township's property than is already eased. today, trying to make it neutral. That open space area, just so you know, I don't know if you've been back there ever, but it is pretty much natural area. It's wooded, there's no play fields or anything like that. You're not infringing upon some active use that you have there. It's the only thing that's back there of any activity is a path that people use to walk through there, and that's not changing. So what they're looking for tonight is approval of the board to effectively start the process to amend the easement. So what would have to happen is we'd have to get the legal documents amended. Legal descriptions have already been prepared, but they would have to be written into a new easement document that would be recorded. There is some legal work associated with that, so you'll be looking for your professionals, your solicitor, and myself to engage with the authority on that, doing that work so that that could be done in advance of doing their land development. Because if the easement isn't going to be where they want it to be, then they're going to have to change their layout, and it's not very easy at this point to do that. So I don't know, did I catch everything?
Yes.
All right.
So, since we were asking about the new environments. Do you have any questions? Okay. Looking for a motion to authorize the township solicitor and township engineer to prepare amended easement documents for the adjustment on the easement located at, what's the address of this place?
I don't know, there's a street address on it.
Yeah,
I
we'll
just
call
call
it-
it the Pleasant Meadows Open Space Area,
All right.
well number 1 easement.
We'll call it that. Okay, is there a motion?
So moved.
I would imagine you can't vote, so I'll second that. All those in favor? Oh, sorry again. Is there any public comment?
I have, is there any in that?
Seeing none?
I have one. My board has authorized us to take care of any and all payments to solicitor, engineer resulting in that. So we'll cover all of that. So I just want to make that clear.
Excellent, appreciate that. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
One abstention.
One abstention.
That's all I had.
Thank you, Tim. So, last month we had talked briefly about Park and Rec. They did not have a meeting this previous month, and so we haven't moved forward on a lot of these items. There are 2 that were kind of confirmed that we can discuss. First one being a water line run to the park. And I know, Jim, you had said that that's not an issue, that we can move forward with that.
Yes, we can. Obviously, I abstained on the vote. I'm the manager of the Hilltown Water and Sewer Authority as well as a supervisor. We will be more than happy to bring a line in off the existing line that is in 152 to the outside of the building, to the snack building there, and from there we can decide where to go.
Okay.
But we'll be more than happy to cover the cost and bring it, pardon me, right to the outside of the building.
Again, we appreciate it. Then the other thing that was requested and approved was that they have an audience with our township engineer, Tim Fulmer, to talk about additional parking at Fair Hill Road. The rest of the items, I plan on meeting with Park and Rec at their next meeting to come up with some dollar amounts to see how much this stuff would actually cost. We'll bring it back to the board for consideration.
With respect to the water line, I'll sit down with Bud and Deanna and come up
Great.
with a game plan. Obviously, I don't want to dig up the parking lot. We'll probably shoot underneath and go from there. We'll torpedo underneath it most likely.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, it is.
We'll trust you. Okay, so that brings us to unfinished business, which we'll discuss.
Do you want to table?
Yeah. Yeah, let's table this. Can I get a motion to table section, all the, basically A through E under section 8 on our agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Deanna. Okay, which brings us to new business.
Unfinished business, we can table too.
Yeah, I'm finishing on table 9.
I don't think we need anything because it's repeated.
Yeah, it's
That
same
is
thing.
repeated, you're right.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 10A, motion to advertise ordinance 2025-001. This ordinance draft is a amendment to an existing ordinance, ordinance 2014-001. There's only one addition that would be added to this new ordinance, and that would be under Article 3, Section F. The section reads, fire departments or third-party billing service shall annually report to the township a detailed breakdown of fund usage, specifying the purposes, vendors, and itemized costs of expenditures using funds provided by the township. Annual report should be submitted by March 31st. And that is the only modification to the already existing ordinance. And this is in an effort to increase communication with our fire companies and an effort to better understand the needs of our fire companies based on what the funds are being used for. And the motion would only be to advertise as is required for any ordinance.
Okay. Can I get a motion to advertise ordinance 2025-001?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any comment? Public comment? Guys good? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. See, I did it that time, guys.
All right, thank you. Item 10B, motion to approve resolution 2025-012. And item 10C, motion to approve resolution 2025-013. Both of these resolutions are for code compliance based on the previously approved investment plan for 2025. So resolution 2025-012 would be adding PSDLAF and invest per the approved investment plan as investment vehicles for the township. And motion resolution 2025-013 would be to approve the transfers into those accounts as is required by the second class township code.
Okay. We'll take these one at a time, I would imagine. Can I get a motion to approve resolution 2025-012?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Can I also get a motion to approve resolution 2025-013?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Wonderful, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item 10D, motion to approve H&K extended hours request for July 2025. This request is similar to previous requests. The approval would be to allow concrete batch plant, asphalt batch plant, and crushing plant at Chalfont Quarry and Asphalt to operate between the hours of 6:30 p.m. and 6:30 a.m. Monday through Saturday between July 1st, 2025 and July 31st, 2025, and it would exclude holidays. And I believe Mr. Scott Drumbor from H&K is present. We had requested his presence here today to answer some questions relating to the extension requests that we have been receiving from H&K for a few years now, just for clarification on a couple items.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Scott, how you doing?
Good, good. So my apologies, I wasn't able to make it in the April meeting, I was away. And then in the May meeting, I was in Hilltown Township. So I'm here now, and I also brought ownership from H&K. I have Scott Haynes here, and ownership from our partner, Miller Materials, George Miller and Jason Miller. And I also brought our air quality specialist, Scott Taylor, because I believe there may be some questions regarding some of that as well. So I guess, do you want to start with the extension request first and then kind of go from there? So I guess there's some questions regarding them. Quick background, if you look at paragraph 10.2 of the original agreement from 2005, there's some complications with the agreement that or with that paragraph and the terms of it, and really the complications are the 14 days notice. In our industry, 14 days notice of when someone needs extended hours has always been a problematic. So leading up to 2010, 2011, working with past township managers, we were kind of driving ourselves crazy, as well as the township manager, with all these requests, trying to meet the terms of that paragraph, but also meet the what we needed for extended hours requests based upon the demand that we were getting. And 14 days notice was the problem. We would get calls 2 days before, the day of, so it was difficult to manage. So right around that time frame, 2010, 2011, with that current manager, I want to say Chrisman Chris Crispin, we kind of worked out the format that's in this letter. And the idea was do it on a 1-month rolling and provide the information from the prior month of how many instances we exceeded those hours or worked outside of those normal hours. So we've been doing that since 2010, 2011. Somewhere halfway through there, I can't tell you exactly when, I think it was Lorraine, prior township manager, requested the backup that we provide, kind of showing the hours as well for the crushing plant as well as the asphalt plant. I don't provide them for the concrete plant because the concrete plant really has not been running the last number of years. What started these requests was truly a turnpike job, and then there were some PennDOT jobs. And as you guys are aware, the turnpike, PennDOT, they're pushing a lot of this work to occur at night. For obvious reasons, it makes sense. A lot of private customers, and we can get to the private part because I know there's some contention there, but a lot of private customers now are pushing for nighttime hours, off-peak hours for this type of work. So that's kind of like the long and short of it. If you look at the occurrences that outside of our normal operating hours, the majority of them, if not all of them, over the last year, 2 years, 3 years, have occurred early morning, 4 to 6:30, 4:30 to 6:30. And what that is related to is the asphalt plant there is a batch plant. So what it does is it makes a batch of asphalt, a very specific specification at 6 tons. We call it a 6-ton drop. So it'll make 6 tons, drop it in the truck, make another 6 tons, drop it in the truck, and that's how a truck gets loaded, and then it goes. We also have silos there, which allows us to make those batches and load it right into a silo. So we have 3 silos, each silo will hold 200 tons. So there are periods of time where, there are times where we'll have one specific customer come to us and say, we need to load from 6:30 to 3:30 or 4 o'clock, 1,000 tons or 1,200 tons. And usually it's a very specific mix to meet contract, whatever the requirements are for that mix. It takes about 2 hours to load those 3 silos. So we start at 4:30, load the silos so the trucks can leave and start getting loaded at 6:30. If we didn't do that, all the other jobs coming in for other mixes, other jobs would get held up. So it allows us to get trucks out in the morning more evenly and serve all of the customers that are coming in. Does that make sense? So if you look at the history, and the reason I went into that description, I think last month there was 7 instances. The majority, if not all of them, are really related to meeting that type of requirement. Are there times in the future that we'll have a turnpike job or yeah, absolutely. But over the last number of years, looking back and going off of memory, going back 3 or 4 years, most of the extended hours are occurring like I just described.
So Scott, forgive me, I inherited this when I got elected a few years ago. This batch plant, is it basically mixing of hard stones and, earth moving equipment and trucks backing up? I mean, it's relatively, quiet compared to other activities during the quarry.
Well, it's obviously inside the quarry. I'm not going to tell you you don't hear it outside of it, but typically you don't, especially during the day with the trucks running and stuff. When we come in the morning, say at 4 o'clock to start that plant and start filling the silos, what's running is the plant itself and one loader that's more into the quarry, feeding the bins to obviously make the product. What the asphalt plant does, it's basically kind of crude, but it's basically a giant mixer. It mixes the liquid asphalt, stone, sand to make the asphalt product. And there's many, many mixes, you know, to meet PennDOT requirements, turnpike requirements, private requirements, different size stone, different gradation sands, different liquid asphalts. So as you can imagine, on any given day, we could have a multitude of orders to meet for the customers that are coming in that day. When you have one customer or two customers that want 800 tons or 1,000 tons or 1,200 tons, if you can't put it in the silos early in the morning, because that's when they want to get going, it kind of fouls everything up. Because now you have all those trucks waiting to be batched at 6 tons a drop, probably about 2 to 3 minutes a drop. So on a 22-ton truck, you can imagine it goes quick, but when you have trucks lining up, you know, 1,000 tons is about 50 trucks, just to give you perspective. I don't know if I answered your question or if it just confused me.
Yeah, it's just foreign to me, so.
Yeah.
I know what a mixer is, but that's the extent of it.
For dough.
Yeah.
It's not for.
Same idea.
Scott, have you received noise complaints or anything of that nature with respect to this early morning operation, the 4:30 operation? It's a little more still outside.
Yeah, not recently, unless there's been some to the township. Probably 2 or 3 years ago, there was, when Lorraine was still here, there was 2 or 3 in the direction on the other side of Skunk Hollow Road, I believe. Those are the last ones. There was like 2 or 3 that I can remember, where we actually started up maybe 20 minutes earlier than we should have on a Monday, if you look at how we've structured this.
These
So,
are
yeah.
noise-based? Or
It was
something
noise-based,
else?
yeah. But they've been limited unless there's some that are coming in that we're not aware of. But I know the township's really good at forwarding all that on.
Yeah. Any other kind of complaints? I'm not sure what.
Water losses, if you want to call that a complaint, but we've been handling them. We've probably addressed, 20, 25 wells over the last 2 years. Personally, I think they weren't quarry-related impacts. They were shallow wells. Some of them were 60, 70 foot deep. It's amazing they held on as long as they did. But per our agreement and the language in it, we took care of them. So I don't really call those complaints. You could, so much as issues that need to be addressed, which we've addressed them, all of them.
Have they pretty much decided?
We've had a couple recently, a couple over the winter, but I think Kate from your office has been handling those and putting in the permits?
Yeah, I think right now there's maybe 1 left over that needs to be finished up, but that's it.
And most of them were fracking, so they've taken some time.
There was some fracking. They've all taken time because trying to find a driller and get in on their schedule has been a challenge.
No.
I'm sorry, no, go ahead.
Specific to the July request, is the extension for hours for private and public bit contracts, or are they?
The way I wrote it, I have it in for public and private.
Do you know though, for this month, will they be for public or private?
I'd have to look specifically at the schedule or look back and see what jobs ran outside normal hours and see where they were. Yeah.
Scott, when you're saying private, you're talking about a business, that kind of a thing. Could be somebody an insurance company's parking 60 cars outside. You could be doing their lot at night to avoid them losing revenue.
Could be
that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
That would be the majority of private.
Yeah, the majority of those probably happen during the day. I think of a Lowe's or a Home Depot where they don't want to interrupt their business.
Right.
And they want to get the work done at night. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you said.
Now, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Go ahead.
I will say what I explained, the early morning startup for the plant to be able to fill the silos, there definitely is private work coming out of that.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's more to meet their daily production and requirements, to be able to serve that customer as well as all the other customers that are coming in.
And when you said the majority of this, so the silos and all, they're down just maybe in the hole itself, they're down in there, so the noise and stuff like is down.
Yep, right.
In?
They're part of the asphalt plant, so if
I don't
gotta get
know
my
this
bearings.
business.
If you look
so
at Google Earth and off of Skunk Hollow Road,
Right.
it's the opposite side of where the squid scale is, or
Okay.
the southwest corner.
okay.
Yeah. If you look, and yeah, we're one level down, so you're 50 foot down. So the
Okay.
top of the plant is essentially at grade around the periphery.
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
there is
we're jumping to submissions, but there's a submission regarding the portables. If you look at attachment A, I don't know if you have that.
We have that here, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, right here. Yep.
So Squirrel Hollow Road, Skunk Hollow Road is to the right.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see right where it says portable crusher location, see attachment B.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of go south of that, and you'll see in the corner there's equipment. That's the asphalt plant.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it is down.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
For the extended hours, it is just, and the other thing I think we wanted clarification on, or the board wanted clarification on rather, is it H&K or is it Naceville that's
Yeah, so-
operating?
So Naceville Materials joint venture is a joint venture between H&K Group and Miller Materials. So it's unlike Blooming Glen, which is solely owned and operated by H&K Group. The Chalfont Quarry is operated by a joint venture, Naceville Materials joint venture, which is a partnership between H&K Group and Miller Materials. Does that answer?
Is that answer?
That's for me.
Do you ever have third parties grinding at that quarry
Grinding,
or crushing?
crushing. We have in the past. We'll bring someone in to contract crush a specific product. In January, there was an application from, we refer to them as Mars Mobile Aggregate Recycling.
Services.
Thank you. They've been in there before. I think they applied for a different piece of equipment, thinking they were going to come back in. That's not happening, as I described in the letter. Not to say that a year from now, 2 years from now, we wouldn't hire them to come in and crush a specific material. But right now, we put an application in for our own portable crusher, which is in the letter that I sent, to crush a specific product in the existing crushing plant. So I gave you like a 3-part answer, but yes, we bring in contract operators or crushers to do specific things. Just like our blasters, they're third party. They come in, they do the conduct the licensed blasters. A little different, but still third party contractor.
Scott, could you, with the portable crushing plant, is that the correct terminology?
Correct.
All right. That's probably as well as I'll do. I'll start slaughtering the industry language from here on out. But so Mars got their permit, but they never came in, and you're essentially proposing the same thing. Now this is a portable crusher.
Portable crusher.
So tell us like what that operation does, or what that machine does, or whatever it is.
Yeah, so I'll speak specifically to what we're looking to do with what we applied for. And if you look at Exhibit B, Exhibit A shows you overall where that portable crusher will go in relation to the outbounds of the overall operation. And then Attachment B shows you more of a detailed schematic of how that portable crusher will fit into the existing crushing spread. And basically what we're doing is we're re-crushing aggregate. So we're basically intercepting the existing crushing plant and grabbing certain rock or aggregates and re-crushing it through this portable crusher to make a very specific aggregate to meet a demand of a customer, which I explain all that in here.
Right.
But yeah, it's just a crusher. We're basically crushing down aggregate that we've already crushed to a smaller size.
And that would be the GP3 permit that
Correct.
you're referencing. No, thank you, because some of this, I know it's in your letter, but
No, it's
by
fair,
having
I'm
you
here.
repeat it, everyone gets to hear it, and we get a better understanding of it. So, where are you in the permitting process right now?
The permit, I'm gonna bring Scott Taylor, our air
Okay.
quality specialist up. But the permit was submitted to DEP. Now he's gonna probably contradict me, but you did get your notice.
Would you mind
Go ahead,
coming to
Scott.
the mic?
Yeah, just come on up.
Did you receive your notice?
Yes.
So the application consists of obviously a fee, a permit application, what we use for a control system, stuff like that gets submitted to DEP. Proof of municipal notification also. So I'm waiting for the certified receipts to come back,
Oh, okay.
which you've received it probably last week. So we missed a mail day last week as well. So probably tomorrow or Wednesday, those will be available. Then I can put the application together and submit to Pennsylvania DEP. And then it's typically 30 days until they approve it and issue the permit.
Has this type of crushing occurred in the quarry before?
Frequently,
Okay.
yes.
So are there any additional measures that would need to be taken for air quality control since it is crushing into a smaller stone?
Well, in this condition or this situation and project, we will tie into the existing dust suppression system. The dust suppression system, it's water. It's
Right.
high pressure water spray with nozzles and spray bars. And as you can see in the illustration, it's actually going to become part of the plant that's already there, the stationary plant. So we will tie into that existing dust control system to spray bars on that portable crusher.
Now, is your water suppression, is that tied in directly to the aquifer
It runs off a well.
off of the well?
It runs off a well in the quarry specific for dust suppression.
So is the concern, of course, obviously conditions of this season are different from last season. Last year we had a drought, but just the concern of the township with that is just that it would drain resources of the aquifer that our residents are also plugged into. So knowing that the zone of influence was impacted pretty heavily last year, as you said, there were about like 20, 25, there were a significant amount of wells that needed to be replaced. Just want to make sure that
Yeah,
we are,
I'll defer back to Scott
Yeah.
on that, but I do want to piggyback on to something where he said these shallow wells, just so everybody's aware, the 70, 80-foot wells, and there's some opinions it's drought related. We have now started addressing an additional thing that's occurred where these wells are artesianing. So there's water shooting out of them.
It means they're constantly being fed with water.
With no pump,
Comes up
water's
through the
coming
top.
out of them. So, but as far as the effect, and I'll let Scott elaborate on that, the quantity of water we're using for dust suppression is minimal to
Okay.
anything just in the aquifer.
and is this, I'm sorry,
No, go ahead.
would this just be for like one project that you're applying for this grant for, or is it for a year? Like what's the duration of the permit?
This right now will be at least for a year. It
Okay.
could be for a year and a half or so.
Okay,
Yeah. So to get back to the groundwater withdrawal, specific to the dust suppression it's a fine mist, so it's very, very low volume, high pressure.
okay,
So what really is the dewatering of the pit, and the discharge is what creates the zone of influence. So this would have no appreciable impact at all on that.
okay. Thank you for clarifying that.
Will the crusher work certain hours of the day, or is it like how, does that run all day long, or how do you, is there any way to?
You can look back at the history from the monthly request. Our crushing plant has not been running outside of normal hours. What is it, 6:30 to 6:30 for a number of years. We put it in the request, that way we're covered. did run that out, you would know, we would tell you. So we don't anticipate that changing. Now, tomorrow it could. You know, that's just the way this industry is. I'm sorry. We don't anticipate that changing right now, but it could. I mean, one phone call, one order could change that, so.
I understand.
Were you referring specifically to the portable?
Yes, I was really talking specifically to the application, yeah.
Specifically
Yeah,
to the portable, if you look at Exhibit B, the portable is fed by the existing plant, so it can't, you know what I mean?
okay, no, yeah, right.
Right,
Okay.
it's fed by the existing plant.
Yeah, that's why I kind of brought up the prior extension request. So you kind of see the history. There really hasn't been extended hours for the last number of years for the crushing plant.
Okay. In the past, with respect to the use of the portable crusher, any specific issues arise either through the neighbors? I'm talking not your general things you hear from neighbors about blasting or noise or whatever, but anything specifically related to the portable crushers in the past.
I'll let Scott answer that himself, but based on my recollection, there's none. I mean, what's nice about this operation is our crushers and everything, the asphalt sits down lower. So that really helps as opposed to being at grade to the surrounding community. We're down low, and that does make a huge impact. So with regards to equipment, no. Yeah, you have the occasional backup alarm, which is a difficult thing because it travels, it's designed to do that. So yeah, that's really it when it comes to that I can recall. I'd have to go back and look at files.
No, that's fine. I didn't know if there was something maybe unique or specific to the portable crushing operation that produced some sort of effect.
No.
Anything else, gentlemen?
Do you guys give notice to the neighbors when you're gonna start earlier?
We do not. Not going to stand there and say that we couldn't. It could get cumbersome.
Well, yeah, maybe a little bit more notice than that.
Yeah,
Okay.
can I jump in there for a second? You just said that they could call you at 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night and say we need. Okay.
So they shift, they slide, they say, hey, I can't go, it's too wet, and you push back 3 hours. That type of thing happens all the time.
Okay. Thank you.
Especially with a spring like we've had, as you can imagine.
I don't have anything. Anna?
Nothing on this item, no.
Can you give an update on Forest Road?
Yeah.
Can you give an update on
Sure,
the,
just generally.
yeah, I think it'd be helpful.
Okay. Since there is so much representation from H&K, we did want to take an opportunity just to give an update on the Blooming Glen Quarry as well, aside from this issue. We have permanently closed Forest Road Park for the time being based on data that we've received back from our geophysicists that we've contracted with. That is a ongoing monitoring project that we anticipate to have a third set of data at the end of next month, at which time we would like to have a meeting with H&K just to provide you all with the data that our geophysicist team has collected regarding the fracture at the Forest Road Park and how it could potentially be impacting Blooming Glen Quarry. We are concerned for safety of residents and the safety of your staff within that quarry as the situation continues to develop. So we want to make sure that we are maintaining communication regarding that situation.
Well, whenever you get your reports, send them over, and that way we can look at them, and we'll have a meeting shortly thereafter.
Great, and we did also hear back from DEP regarding the initial report that they are set to get back to us after their visit to the site in October. And they are looking to get that to us hopefully in the next few months. But at this point, the data is pretty stale, being that we've already had 3 additional data collections at that site since the initial October visit. And those data collections have been from boreholes and, permeable imaging, so it's a lot more sophisticated than that initial October evaluation. We will pass that along when we get it.
Look forward to it.
Have you guys heard from DEP by chance, specific to that?
They had brought it up one time, and I was on the phone with them about something else, and it just came up that they were out and looked at it. So they didn't really draw any conclusions or anything. That they just mentioned that they were out in Hilltown, next to Blooming Glen. It's easy enough for me to understand what they were looking at. So.
And when was that?
Oh my goodness.
Was that the fall last year? Or?
That's the last time that I know that
It
they
may.
were out.
I think it was fall.
November.
Yeah, 'cause I think they went into the quarry.
They did, yeah. They went on to look at the high wall.
Yeah, as well as your consultant.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, they did drone footage of that area as well.
Do you guys have any concerns about the fracture?
We do not. Like it, I looked at it. I think it's stormwater related. You can see it's coming where the water's coming into that pond and that detention basin. It's following. Unfortunately, it's falling right on the top of that fracture at the bottom of the basin, and it just follows it. And what that's doing is it's cleaning out the material in that fracture. You can go to Chalfont Quarry and you can look at the high walls and you can see similar fractures that along the high wall, the smaller material, the granular material just works itself out. In this case, it's washing it out. So I know there's probably a difference of opinions. So when you get your reports, we can certainly look at them and have a discussion.
In Chalfont, where you see those gaps as you're referring to, do you ever have material fall from that high wall?
You can have material, especially from fractures like that, that are going into the quarry perpendicular. This one's obviously running parallel. You look at the strike and dip of the bedding planes; they're falling into and away from the high walls at Blooming Glen. There's a number of things they've looked at. I'm sure they're looking at all of that. But yeah, you can, which is why we have precautions in the mining regulations for certain bench widths, certain bench heights, how far we have to stay away from the bottom of a high wall and have it bermed off for reasons like that. Because obviously you're in a quarry with active high walls, you're gonna have the potential for material.
Those benches are designed to catch it, essentially.
The benches or at the base of the high wall, you have to be a certain distance away based upon the height of the high wall with a catchment berm to keep people away from getting right against the high wall. Not necessarily fracture related, it's just, in general.
I assume it's everyone's opinion that blasting in the quarry could not have possibly caused the fracture right next to the quarry?
No.
And I'm not sure if you read our latest press release, but are you aware of the latest development there with the new anomaly?
No.
Oh, okay. So we can discuss that at the meeting as well, but there does seem to be an unofficial sinkhole that has started to develop as well.
Okay. Well, we're not in karst. So if you have something like that, it's because you're concentrating stormwater into a weak point.
It's outside of the basin, away from the stormwater.
It can be outside of the basin, inside of the basin. We're not in a karst topography here. So if you have
understanding it's not an official sinkhole because of that.
It's a sinkhole-like feature.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. That's an official engineering term,
Yeah, I
Jim.
would say that's pretty good. I'll never-
Any information you have, please share.
We
You know,
will,
like
yeah.
I said, we
And the only reason we haven't passed on any of the reports that we've received so far is because we don't have a trend yet, because we don't have that third data set. So with this third data set, we'll be able to say whether or not the movement that is being acknowledged from report to report is a trend.
Okay. Trend is a trend.
Keeping in mind that the report is not gonna specify what caused it, correct?
Correct.
Yes, no, and that's
So-
not what we're looking to speak with you about either. It's specifically regarding the future and the status of that unfortunate
Right.
fracture.
Okay, I'm done.
Thank you for coming. I appreciate it.
absolutely. I think we covered all three things, kind of back and forth. But is there anything else?
Anything? Just gonna make a motion on that.
I think that's it. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Okay, can we get a motion to approve extension of hours for Chalfont Quarry and Asphalt to operate between the hours of 6:30 PM and 6:30 AM, Monday through Saturday, between July 1st and July 31st, 2025, excluding holidays?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I will second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a good evening.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item 10E is the PennDOT Highway Lighting Plan Review. So PennDOT has finalized their design for the roundabout that is set to go right outside of IVCC. And they're proposing about 22 lights at that location, and are requesting us to sign a roundabout maintenance agreement as is standard for any of their projects. So the required lighting would be absorbed financially by the township, and unfortunately, we had requested green options for energy savings in perpetuity for the township, and the state was unable to approve any of them, and therefore we need to stick with their recommended plan. The agreement also includes the township to take on full responsibilities of the entire roundabout. The sample agreement that they provided includes components such as landscaping, lighting system, lighting planning, the maintenance of sidewalks and signage, pavement markings, amongst other things. And again, that would be the sole financial responsibility of the township in perpetuity of the roundabout's existence. If we do not agree, the lights won't be installed by PennDOT per their transportation engineering director.
These are state roads?
Yeah,
So whose liability would that be if we said no?
we said no.
Well, isn't there in this agreement that if we say no, they're basically gonna take it out of our liquid fuels tax and say too bad anyways?
That's probably correct.
In essence.
Yes. They'll get it one way or another.
Yeah, so really, they give us an option, but don't give us an option.
Now, the lighting estimate for continued maintenance was provided upon our request. It doesn't seem to be anything too terrible. It's about $1,200 a year for this specific roundabout. However, that doesn't include the new interchange. It doesn't include the additional improvements that they're making to any other area of this 309 corridor. So when added together, it could be pretty significant. But yes, we're in a tight spot here. We don't really have much of a choice.
Is there any pushback on the number of lights? And the electric bill doesn't scare me. It's the tractor-trailer truck that takes out 4 of them in one evening.
So I have asked about the design of the lights, and I did request this new plan to be sent over to us because they had the prior plan that they had sent over, and I believe there were like 35 536 lights. So this is a decrease from the original plan because of that cul-de-sac that's now going, and it took out a number of those lights. So this is the modified plan.
Wow.
Deanna, could I address one thing
Yes.
that Supervisor Metzinger asked about the state roads? This is similar to traffic signals because even at the intersections of two state highways, traffic signal becomes the township's obligation for maintenance and upkeep. Roundabouts are not any different in terms of that. I mean, it's different components, but it's still, that's how they look at it, that township is still obligated for line striping, signage, that sort of thing. You're powering a traffic signal with electricity, so if there's lighting, you're powering that for a roundabout. So I think that's what they're construing it as in this case.
Okay. Do you need any action on this wonderful news?
Not at this time. They did send over this information about a month ago. So I do think that they need just a general, we're okay moving forward with it, or no, we need to have modifications, and then I can then request those modifications from the transportation engineer to be made.
Okay. Does it pay to have our engineer, not Tim, but our
traffic engineer
to look at this and say, well, we think we need 12 and meet him in the middle somewhere, or is this a done deal?
I think, well, I don't want to speak for Andy, but this is more of a lighting consultant type of thing because it's lighting coverages, and they're doing I'm assuming they've done a study on the lighting levels that they need to provide, you know, per every square foot of road that they're trying to illuminate for safety. There is a standard that I'm sure they're trying to follow as far as that goes. If it's too dim, it's not as safe as and then if it's too bright, it's not as safe. So there's probably some level of criteria that they're trying to follow, and I don't want to speak for Andy. Maybe Andy knows, but you could ask him. But I think this is more in line with a lighting consultant that does lighting studies and that sort of thing.
Well, my question was a shot in the dark.
Oh, yeah.
No pun intended.
It's good. Yeah, it doesn't hurt to ask. I mean, you could certainly check with Andy, but he may tell you the same thing. I don't know.
Okay. So at this point, what would you like?
The board can take it under their consideration, and we can table it and discuss potential improvements that we would like to be requested on the plan at a meeting in the future.
Do you agree? You want to look at it and see if we can change it or modify it, or you think we're married to it?
I think from a liability standpoint, I think we're almost married to it. If you want to know, that's the way I feel. I don't know that to be true or not. Jack, did you take a look at this agreement?
It's going to, I mean, I think what Tim's getting at is there's going to be this sort of sweet spot you don't want to get outside of with respect to the lighting criteria, because if safety's the first concern. I mean, you could table it, you could have someone look at it, but I'm going to play engineer and predict that it's probably going to be in that. You're not going to find substantial variation
Sort of around
in terms of any recommendation coming out of it.
I'm not big on spending money for no outcomes.
So Jack and I can then work on agreement terms if there's anything that we feel is putting the township at risk, and bring it back to the board prior to there being an official motion for signature.
The agreement part of it?
Yes.
Yes, I would, I was going to say, I'd like to have Jack take a look at it in
Yeah.
conjunction with you, absolutely.
Right. Broadly speaking, we can look at the agreement, everything in the agreement, not just
Yeah,
the specifics.
but the lighting plan, nothing to, okay.
Yeah.
Where would we pay for the maintenance and upkeep from? Would it come out of liquid fuels, or is it not eligible?
I'd have to double check, but I don't think it's on our liquid fuel.
I don't know that answer. I don't know how that was done in the past. And again, we don't have roundabout.
No.
We don't have any, right?
You have traffic signals, obviously.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
however that's financed, you know, because your maintenance costs, there are maintenance costs for the township for traffic signals for sure. So I don't know how that's been taken care of in the past, to be honest with
I
you.
would think these would almost have to be, wouldn't they?
It depends if it's on the,
If we're on the list or not, yeah.
and I don't know specifically if this section is,
Well, there aren't many roundabouts. I
Yet.
don't know, yet, right, yet, they're coming. Okay.
Yeah,
question.
I haven't,
we can,
I didn't see
I
it in
haven't
here, did
studied
you?
this in great
I would be,
detail, but.
sorry to interrupt you, but I'd be a bit surprised that you couldn't use liquid fuels
Me too.
money for this, because obviously
If you
is,
It is,
they
yeah.
are foisting this on you, so you would think they would allow you to use the state funds to address your responsibility in their eyes to maintain their roundabout.
Right.
This is a new version of the traffic light. you
It
know?
just reads,
It is.
Yeah.
reads strange because it's, the remedy, if we don't comply, is that they will just bill us for the actual cost out of liquid fuels, which is, makes me question why we would even sign up for this and just have them, that would alleviate the administrative burden of us submitting through liquid fuels and just have them take the money. I don't know.
I would imagine efficiency of us maintaining it compared to them. I think we could probably do it cheaper.
oversight.
Or
Yes,
do
I
nothing,
don't wanna
or do
overstep.
nothing.
Them to be in control.
I don't know.
I wanna be in control.
Okay.
That's where I'm at.
Okay,
All good.
so I will let him know that I'll let PennDOT know rather that we're good with the plan. And I will get clarification on the eligibility to use liquid fuels and report back.
Perfect.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Manager update, none. Supervisor comments.
I was at last month's meeting, but I wanted to say that the road crew did an excellent job on the bike path over here, the walking trail. So appreciate their effort. They did a nice job.
Per usual. They're pretty good.
Yep, they are.
Public comment. Seeing none. Okay. I assume there's no press. So motion to adjourn at 8:18.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I will second.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you all very much for coming.